We'll get started with the Great Barrington Planning Board meeting for Thursday, December 8th. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's July 16th, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the planning board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend the meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting in person, and those who wish to do so may attend remotely by following the instructions on the agenda. For those who are not in person, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time by technological means. Our town planner keeps an eye on who is raising their hands, so please use that if you are participating remotely. And for members of the public who are sitting here in the audience, if you could raise your hand also if you are looking to speak on a matter. If ladies, if you don't mind just being quiet, because the system here is picking you up. In addition, this pursuant to MGL 7C30A section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body and may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. Any members of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listings of the agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being recorded. And lastly, per section 241(1) of the town code, except for procedural and housekeeping matters, town residents shall have the right to address a board on any item that requires a vote at the time before a board votes on that item. Such residents will be allowed as much time as the proponents of an item is permitted to have. All right, so we will start with roll call attendance. We'll start with Jeremy Ega.
Not here.
No,
or not there. I'm here, not there. I'm here, so, present.
Did Malcolm say here?
Yes, here.
Okay,
Here.
Jonathan Hankin.
I am here.
Pedro Pacheco.
I am here.
Jackie Kane.
I'm here.
Brandy Nelson here. Okay, great. We will get underway. Do we have any Form As? Seeing no Form As, move on to the minutes of November 22nd. Do we have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Jonathan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Malcolm. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Jeremy,
Aye.
Malcolm,
Aye.
Jonathan,
Aye.
Pedro,
Aye.
Brandy, aye. Okay. Moving on to item number 3, common driveway, Maple Avenue, application from Alan Strassler and Abby Strassler, trustees of the Abby Strassler 2021 Trust, care of King, Hibbert and Meyer, for a common driveway at 374 Maple Avenue to serve 3 lots. This is an existing driveway, and I think the subject of a A&R a couple of months ago, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we created a lot A and B, I guess.
Al Thorpe from Accord Engineering is joining us as a panelist, as is Sid Smithers from Kane Hibbert. And Sid and Al, if there's anybody else who you think should be promoted to be able to speak at this time, please let the chair know.
Al, you're muted still. Nope, still muted.
Still muted now.
There you go. That,
Still muted.
Can't hear you, unfortunately.
like those headphones aren't pairing with your computer or something.
Let's
Sid,
see
could
if you can hear me.
Yes.
We can hear you, Sid.
I'm happy to start.
Al can give you a thumbs up if he would like you to start. Yeah.
I didn't see the thumbs up. Was there one?
So Al
We
gave you
got
a
it.
thumbs up, so please go ahead and lay
Okay.
out this issue while Al works on his technology.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the Planning Board. My name is Sid Smithers. I'm an attorney with Kane, Hibbert and Myers in Pittsfield and Great Barrington. And we represent the Strassler family which has owned since 1970 104 acres of land on the north side of Maple Avenue, extending up the Green River for quite a distance and past I think there's a pumping station for the town, partly along their river frontage. David Strassler had the property surveyed and divided into 2 parcels and conveyed one to his daughter, who is trustee of a family trust, and the other to his son. The property has been served along with another property to the east of it, which has no road frontage, has been served by a common driveway, never called such, but it was in fact a common driveway as you now understand it, and has, since David Strasslers built their house in 1970 or 72, this driveway extending from Maple Avenue north to their house has provided the sole means of access to their home, and now is proposed to provide the sole means of access to the present Strassler home, a new Strassler home to be built by Alan on the parcel of land conveyed to him by David, and to continue to serve 2 abutters on the east who have long had an easement to use this road, created and recorded along with a survey many years ago. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to request that the planning board designate this a common drive to serve up to 3 homes, 2 of which are existing and 1 of which will be constructed. And we have given you a survey. We've given you responses to your the requirements of the bylaw, and we've given you a survey of the road, and would request that you create a private drive for the purposes of a common drive for the purposes of these 3 dwellings.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I have a question for Sid. You said 2 abutters on the east side. What are the 2 abutters?
Well, they are, well, it's now owned by 1 person, perhaps. The easement that the Strasslers gave to 2 neighbors were a husband and wife. So it's 1 property owned by 2 people.
Okay, that's the landlocked house
That's
you were
correct.
talking about?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, that's fine.
A lot created prior to the adoption of the subdivision control law.
Okay.
Does anyone want to see the site plan up on the screen for benefit of the public? It's an existing
I
driveway.
drove up there all the way.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an existing driveway. It's currently serving 2 houses,
Yeah.
it's going to serve a 3rd.
Yeah.
It meets the requirements of 15319 in terms of number of units access.
Yep.
Pardon me? D, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, Malcolm, any questions?
No.
Jonathan, you said you have no further questions?
No.
Pedro, Jackie, any questions? Jeremy, any questions?
No.
Okay, hearing no questions, I don't have any additional questions either, so we need a motion to approve the common driveway serving 374 Maple Avenue and the 3 lots thereon.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Jonathan,
Second.
second by Malcolm. Any discussion, anyone? Hearing none, we'll vote. Jeremy, can I start with you? Your vote?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
Pedro?
Aye.
Randy? Aye. All right, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you to the members of the planning board. And one final personal note, after 52 years, this will be my final public presentation in Berkshire County.
Oh, no.
Going out with a bang.
Enjoy your retirement.
Well,
And Alan, glad you got that fixed.
you're, and you're.
Thank you. Yeah, managed to work it out. I thought I had it figured out, but so it is.
You're leaving Vicky behind, I hope.
Oh, yeah. In fact, she powers the place now.
All
Thank
right,
you
well,
very much.
have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Bye. All right, next item on our agenda is a special permit and public hearing for 148 Maple Avenue. An application from 148 Maple Avenue LLC, PO Box 67425, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, care of Nicholas Arianti of Hellman, Shern and Arianti LLP for the conversion of a former nursing home to a multifamily use at 148 Maple Ave, filed per sections 810 and 10.4 of the zoning bylaws. And so the applicant is present here in person in the room. Is there anyone joining you online?
No.
No, your team is here in the room. Okay, great.
It could be that we have an architect.
Sure, if you could just let Chris know which name he should look for, and then he can,
That's fine now, then.
great, okay. Great, thank you. Okay, so, first item is that we need a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Second.
Reliable second from Malcolm, thank you. Any discussion on that? No, hearing none. Jeremy?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
Pedro?
Aye.
Randy? Aye. Okay, so the public hearing is open. The next item will be a presentation from the applicant.
Well, good evening. Again, my name is Nick Arianti from Hellman, Shern and Arianti, right here in Barrington. And I am counsel for the applicant. I have Charles Goldman here, who is representing and in fact is one of the owning partners of the applicant, and who intends to hopefully see this permit application through to the town. So I will briefly go over the high points of the application itself. So what is being proposed here at the site at 148 Maple Avenue is section 8.10 of the Great Barrington zoning bylaw. And that's conversion of the existing property there, which was formerly a nursing rehabilitation use for many years, into a multifamily housing use. And again, that's pursuant to section 8.10 of your bylaw. That bylaw requires to take advantage of that potential use, a special permit be granted from the planning board, which is why we're here in front of you tonight. I think, as you all know, that the property itself is primarily in the R2 zoning district, residential 2 zone. There's a very tiny portion of the R1A, which is really just the easterly most, right at the corner of that portion of the property. Structure itself is about 30,000 square feet, built in 1969, and really has not been subject to change. The property itself has not been subject to very much change over the course of its history. It's a three-floor building, basement, that's 2 floors above ground, and it's going to remain that way. The proposed use again by the applicant, which is 148 Maple Avenue LLC, officially is an adaptive reuse of that building into 30 multifamily housing condominium units. The breakdown of those units, we did amend the application to clarify that the 30 units that comprise of 12 1-bedroom, 16 2-bedroom, and 2 3-bedroom units. The structure itself will be maintained really in its current form. There will be no significant additions or modifications to the exterior footprint of the building. So the one really minor exception of that is the front entry, that front facade piece, which we'll discuss a little bit greater detail later. But other than that, the footprint of the building is remaining the same. The height of the building is not increasing at all. That's remaining the same. And by and large, the entire structure itself is remaining the same, with some improvements to the facade as well as particularly the entryway itself and that front access, and the rear of the back side kind of U-shape, and there will be an outdoor space that will be for the benefit of the owners. Primarily the facade will be cleaned up again, all sides, and in addition to the entryway vestibule being improved, there will be some some kind of decorative elements, softening the architectural aesthetic of that building, making it making it feel a bit more like a residential use rather than institutional hospital type use, which is more or less just a brick box, which has been over a period of time. The site is also being maintained as far as parking goes. The layout is not changing. No additional pavement is anticipated at this point. The current parking layout provides for 47 parking places over the existing site within the existing layout, which exceeds quite a bit the requirements of the bylaw section 8.10. There will be some additional lighting along the driveway in order to ensure compliance with section 8.10.4 of that provision of the bylaw. Some planters and kind of, again, softening of the outdoor space a little bit as far as general landscaping improvements. And on the easterly side, directly adjacent to the parking lot, some planters and other type of just general limited structure plantings and so forth. The driveway itself also maintained in its existing condition and existing form. It will be a one-way drive, so I believe the entrance, right, is only going to be on the easterly side, easterly entrance, and the property will be exited out the westerly curve. Other than that, really the property is going to be maintained again physically as it was. The application itself here does demonstrate compliance with the section 10.4 special permit criteria. And I'm happy to explain or provide further information on each of the criteria, either responsive to your questions or to present it at this point, however you see most sufficient, as well as the criteria of section 8.10, the conversion of multi-family use from the existing nursing use. At this time, I would like to ask my client, Charles Goldman, to say a few words on behalf of the project and what the vision and the hope is for the property.
Okay, great.
Sure, thank you so much, Nick. Good evening, it's good to see a lot of you. Long time no see.
Can I ask you to try and speak up
Oh,
just so
sorry.
that we get picked up here on the microphones? Yeah.
So my name is Charles Goldman. I'm one of the managing partners of the Goldman Group. We thank you for the opportunity to present a proposal for the former nursing home at 148 Maple Avenue. We're very excited about the project and very much look forward to working together to create something that will bring major value to the town and the community. My goal this evening is to tell you more about who we are and our intentions for the property and to address any questions you may have. I will begin by sharing some background about our group. The Goldman Group is a premier real estate investment, development, and management company based out of Boston. Drawing on decades of experience, we are involved in facilitating every stage of the property's journey, from its purchase to its development, to its management, rent, or sale. Our integrated approach sets us apart, enabling us to draw on our knowledge and connections across multiple industries to maximize efficiency and results. At its core, our company is focused on facilitating the repurposing of existing buildings into residential complexes. The buildings we seek out are ones with untapped potential: mills, factories, schools, and other structures that are no longer being put to their best use. While changing market conditions have left these properties underutilized, their rich history, strong bones, and close proximity to residential markets in need of additional housing make them perfectly suited for adaptive reuse. As we breathe new life into these buildings, we are proud to bring new life to the communities in which we invest. As licensed general contractors, we bring our experience, expertise, and passion to every project, employing a qualified network of architects, engineers, contractors, and other construction staff to ensure work is completed on schedule and at the highest quality. Past and current projects of ours include the rehabilitation of an 80-unit multifamily complex in Canton, Massachusetts, the redevelopment of a mixed-use shopping center in Walpole, Massachusetts, the redevelopment of a 200,000 square foot former school building in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, into a mixed-use complex set to comprise of residential units and a community recreation center, and the redevelopment of a 400,000 square foot mill building in Fall River, Massachusetts, into a mixed-use complex that comprised of residential units and a self-storage facility. As it pertains to this property, our plan is to convert the former nursing home building into 30 condominiums, comprising 12 one-bedrooms, 16 two-bedrooms, and 2 3-bedrooms. We will retain the existing structure in its entirety, including the building's foundation, exterior walls, framing, roof, and new windows. Where practical, we will also retain the building's interior hallways, adding and modifying partitions as necessary for an optimal residential layout. Units throughout the complex will feature hardwood floors, crown moldings, spacious kitchens with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. Amenities are set to include a fitness center, pet grooming station, and both indoor and outdoor lounge areas. To match the building's interior, we will also update the building's facade and landscaping, as well as add balconies to units on the upper levels. Given the neighborhood's desperate need for additional housing, we are excited about the project and the value it will bring to an already vibrant community. Our goal is that in addition to attracting new residents, the complex will encourage new employment opportunities and improve the quality of life for the community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Did you want your architect to say anything or give us any additional information?
I think that Ms. Hoffman is here to answer any questions that get brought up throughout the meeting.
Okay. Given that there appear to be some members of the public here who are neighbors, I think it'd be helpful if we could put the site plan up maybe. And either let Ms. Hoffman or Mr. Arianti just again point out the key features of what's remaining, what's changing. And I believe you also have some renderings that show the elevations of the building that maybe we could show also, just to help the public understand the configuration of the site. Does that sound good, Chris?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so Nick or Charles, I have the most up-to-date plans on the screen. If you want to show us. Randy, do you want to discuss?
Sure.
How would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to just, I think the site plan is on the second or third page of the plan set. So the site plan is like the view looking down from the sky.
That's the existing
Yeah,
site.
so that's the existing building. And so, Nick, you said that the pavement is remaining, right? The entrances are remaining. And the front, the changes are the front facade footprint is changing just a little bit. Right?
Ms. Hoffman, if you would like to jump in and add any thoughts or feedback.
Yes, absolutely. So in looking at the site plan, we try to keep it as minimal as possible. As Mr. Goldman was saying, really trying to pay tribute to the features of the great pieces of this building that are already here. One of the things that we're trying to amp up is to, make this less institutionalized. So with that front entryway, we're introducing more glazing. You can see with the existing superimposed on the new is a little bit more rectilinear underneath that curve right there. That's what shows that entry addition a little bit more. It's now enclosed where it was an open space, sort of terraced area and more of a grand entry. The other things that you're seeing here, where we have the existing footprint sort of expanded on, is we have some balconies just to get more daylight, some more open air into these units as well. You'll see those on the south, east, west, and north sides. And then also in this U shape, you'll really see that's all exterior development. That's not really an expansion on the footprint. That's just to really make the space more inviting, more welcoming, more of a residential experience instead of something that just sticks out as an institutional setting inside of a wonderfully beautiful residential area. So I think that covers most of our main items that we're really touching out here, is just to make it much more inviting without taking away all the great character of the building as it exists.
Okay, thank you. Chris, are you able to go to the building elevation? There we go. That's a good one. That shows the middle two graphics, I think, are the east elevation, so the rear of the building, or the west elevation, I'm sorry. And
It shows change this one.
yeah,
But Brandy, this is reflecting primarily demolition.
okay,
Of course, you can go to it should be the last page on that document, which is A2-01, that shows the improvements. Yeah, and it's the same elevations all around the building, and that shows the proposed final
okay, so that's
improvement.
There's the balconies.
the east elevation, right? Looking west.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I will open it up to board member questions. Jeremy, do you have any questions?
Not at this point. Yeah, not at this point.
Okay, great. The folks that are here in the room, we made a site visit earlier today, so we've recently seen the building, but we'll just go around the table here and see who's got questions. Malcolm?
Yeah, I'm curious as to what the target market is. What are these gonna sell for in the ballpark?
It's really hard to predict what the market will look like when these units are ready for sale. They will be newer units, and the building will be more of a 2022 build. But I'd rather not say our target price.
Anything else?
Nope.
Jonathan, questions?
I have a lot of questions.
I'm sure you do, but let's keep them to our purview.
Well, there are a lot of things in the plans that don't agree with the elevations, so I'm trying to figure out which is correct. First of all, on the elevations, on the two ends, you have this two-story piece of something, doesn't say what it is. Yeah, that, and on the other end as well. Could you tell us what that is?
Charles, did you want to go or do you want me to expand?
I appreciate it, Ms. Hoffman. I mean, in essence, the idea is to improve the front of the building in ways that will look that will help make the overall building look newer. So on the left and right sides, what we were thinking was to either cover those areas with an aluminum cladding material or stucco, and that it would be the same material on on the top also that extends from those sides onto the front lobby area, the same material.
So I'm a little confused because on the are we looking at the whole elevation there, Chris, or?
Yes, that, what you see on this, this is windows. In
So the east elevation.
You see it now, John?
Well, I'm looking at the first floor plan. Bedroom 376 has a window, which doesn't show up there. And I don't know why, given that this is essentially pretty close to, as close to south as you can get, why you're not putting windows in there? I mean, this is not site plan, but it is a special permit, so. And then I can't figure out what's happening on the second floor above the entry, because this looks like there's something there, and that if I look at the second floor plan, it's unclear what that is, but there's no access to that space. And that
Well,
looks like that could be,
Are you looking at the basement plan, Jonathan?
I'm looking at the second floor plan.
You have a two-story entry atrium that's open on the second floor or closed to the second floor. What's happening there? Maybe you could.
Sure, so as the building is right now, there is an entrance with parallel windows on the left and right on the first and second floors. As we change that lobby area, those windows will be eliminated. But we are, in other words, we aren't proposing to have bedrooms in those locations.
Say that again.
In other words, we aren't proposing to have any bedroom space in those areas. All of that will be closed in.
You mean above, in second floor above the atrium there?
Right, that, all of that will be, there will be this, a two-story, open, atrium, for the lobby. And those windows that are existing in the front will be eliminated.
So the two-story atrium will have unit windows that face into the atrium, is that right?
So those windows will be eliminated.
Oh, so it's different than the
So
plans
those
that we
units
have.
won't be able to look into the atrium.
Okay, so that is a change from what we have in the plan set, is that correct?
It could be that.
Okay,
I don't think
The
so.
floor plans currently show windows looking into the atrium.
Oh, fine. So,
should we give him just a little of that sheet just to make it perfect clear to everybody?
It's A102.
Both A102 and A101. Windows, it's a colored floor plan.
Oh, that's a different one than we have.
This is the up-to-date one that shows the different
Yeah,
unit counts.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we
We
have in our
didn't, we
packet.
never saw that.
Oh, that was sent, that was emailed around too.
This is, I'm looking at what we got in the link.
I'm looking at the hard copy you gave me.
Okay.
so the layouts were updated after the original submission.
The layouts were updated, but this is the second floor, so it still shows windows looking into the atrium.
So is that what is proposed or not what is proposed?
the windows that exist in those areas
Mhm.
will be eliminated.
So there won't be any windows in those bedrooms?
Those are living room spaces, not bedrooms.
Says,
No windows. You're gonna have to check your building code, because you're not gonna be meeting light and air requirements if you do that. Even if it's within inside the atrium, you're not meeting light and air requirements.
In what sense?
Well, the building code has a requirement for light and air for habitable spaces. So Ms. Hoffman should review, the Massachusetts code as well as the international building code or residential code. Now, in this case, it is the international building code.
Yes, I can speak to that a little bit more. We are in the process of doing a full international existing building code review as well. So we are double checking those light and air requirements. Currently, we have been focusing on them in the bedrooms, but yes, we will definitely be looking at those in all spaces.
And it appears that bedroom 242 in the basement has no windows, or I'm sorry, it does have windows now. Okay, but it has windows to a new areaway. Is that what's happening there? I don't know.
Which one's 242?
Oh, sorry,
Bottom left.
bottom left. Basement floor plan, all the way to the left.
Actually, there's a window there, John. This?
Yeah, okay. Previous iteration didn't have any windows there.
So,
But also the window, the bedroom right next to it,
241.
241. You're showing windows, but it's not above grade there, so I don't know how you're doing that.
so that was a question I was going to ask, because I had spoken to Mr. Golden when we were in the field. There were some, the window wells that are existing on the north side are going to similarly be created on the south side. And so can you get into that a little bit more as far as how the garden units are going to be modified from the existing condition that's there? And there's a porch there now in that corner that Jonathan is referring to.
Sure, Ms. Hoffman, just please add on to anything I say that you feel like, you have more to say about. All of the basement units will require a means of egress. And the building will have areaways, so window wells that will extend along a lot of the exterior to provide egress for all of the basement units. As far as the two-story structure that is currently to the left of the building, that will be demolished.
Right.
That concrete porch.
Yeah.
That we looked at.
And could you tell us? I'm not sure what these things are in front of the areaways. That from the front elevation. With
Would it be
the pattern.
possible to bring it up on the screen and
Yeah, can you go back to A101, Chris?
Sorry, I can't see the numbers.
We need a better town planner, obviously.
Get that out of there.
This? Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm looking at a different plan, but yeah, what is that?
Currently, we have them as dry wells to capture some water and deal with some water mitigation as well.
So how does the water get in there?
So we're still coordinating a little bit more with our MEP and our civil aspects of it too. But our intent is to deal with the water that's going to be coming in here. Create more. And Charles, please expand if there's more of a design intent too. But definitely, it's to mitigate some of the water, displacement, like find a little capturing zone, and also just sort of create a barrier. An entry barrier between those egress areas. You can have a planting, dry well area, just to sort of make this not a huge eyesore of, we have this huge egress area way that you can sort of fall into. It's another stage aspect of giving dimension to the fronts and sides of the building.
So what's the elevation of that?
We, I believe, have it currently as, it's a little bit below grade. It's a midpoint because I believe we have those egress areas at 2'2" above basement grade, and I believe the dry well is maybe 4 to 6 feet above grade currently. We don't have the detail on it yet, but we're still working through that as well.
Then it's surrounded by some sort of fencing, is that correct?
Mhm.
Am I reading
Yep,
that
some
correctly?
retaining walls, yes.
And did you consider providing accessibility to the front, to the main entrance?
Charles, I don't know if you want to expand on it, but we are in the process of coordinating that with the building inspector as well. We are providing a ramped access on the rear side of the building. We're doing an international existing building code review currently. With this change of use, we're trying to make sure we tick off all the boxes for what is required for accessibility. We would prefer to, maintain the accessibility in the area that's most used, which is that rear entrance, because that does face the parking lot. And we would like to preserve some of the historic character of the building with that grand entrance. But of course, we are doing our review and making sure that we, have the proper discussions with permitting to make sure that we provide accessibility where we need, but we also want to serve the residents in the most practical way.
Given that accessibility could result in ramping and parking for handicap accessibility should be noted on your site plan, I'd encourage you to accelerate that part of the discussion with the town. Because we need to review that as part of our plan. And I often find that at this stage of development, you may not want to engage your site engineer, but you really should. So, for our site plan review, we have to look at accessibility. And so that'll be one of our comments tonight. We'll be asking for some additional information related to accessibility. So please do accelerate that discussion with the code officials and with your design team.
I noted, this is Chris, on your site plan, the handicap parking spaces are
Crazy.
near
They're the existing ones.
yeah, and they're closer to your rear entrance where you're proposing the ramp in.
But that's not where they're gonna stay. They're gonna have to move them.
But so things would change if you were required to make the front entrance accessible. That would change the site plan to a point where this board would definitely want more details.
And also where you're using the existing layout and the handicap spaces are so remote from any entrance, it's crazy. So they need to be brought in closer to the building. And there has to be a dedicated path. And I really would like to see the front entrance accessible. Since we're trying to encourage people to walk everywhere, they're not going to walk around the building through the parking lot. They're going to want to come in and out the front door and walk down the street. So
Anything else?
I'm sure I have more.
Do you want me to move on to page?
Yeah, you can move on.
Okay, regroup.
Are there questions or discussion?
This is questions from the board.
No, question.
No question. Jackie, do you have any questions?
I'm listening.
You're listening? Okay, all right. I have a few questions. So it looks like you are proposing lighting. I didn't see a photometric plan. Can you plan to provide that for both building lighting and also for the lighting that you mentioned will be added to the parking area? I think it's great that you are providing for the parking on the existing asphalt improvements. That helps with stormwater management. But if you could, as we mentioned, just review your handicap accessible parking and an accessible route consistent with code, that would be helpful as well. Number of parking spaces, I think is great. I think when you look at accessibility, you may lose a space or two, but I see you've got 50 shown here, so that meets our requirement of 1 per dwelling unit. We had, Chris, previously with the earlier special permit application from a different applicant, received communications from the town officials about adequacy of sewer and water. Did we get those again for this application?
We just received them today.
We did, okay. So we have, comments from
Both the.
water
Yeah,
department.
Fairbairn Fire District and
Okay.
from the wastewater superintendent that there's sufficient capacity in both systems to service.
Okay.
Additionally, yeah.
And did they ask you for any modification to the sewer connection or anything like that, water service? No, so we're gonna use the existing, okay. Is there going, so I see an entrance sign, can you explain what you're proposing as far as signage? Is there going to be like a sign that talks about the building and what it's called, if it has a name? Or is this just wayfinding signage that you're proposing here on the plan?
Maybe Ms. Hoffman could talk more about that. It's not something that we've discussed in great detail.
Okay,
Yes, currently, I believe we're only showing where the existing monument signage is, and we haven't gone into great detail quite yet about how we would best like that identified.
okay.
It does show two proposed signs on the plan, though,
Okay.
the entrance and the exit.
Right.
Yeah,
There is
I
on
didn't
the
know,
entrance.
is that intended to just be a wayfinding sign that says enter here, exit here, or is it a do not enter here? Like, if you could give us a schedule of what those signs are proposed to be specifically, just so that we can communicate that with the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about receiving mail? Is there some means for receiving mail that's being proposed?
There should be an indication of a mail room on the first floor, close to the atrium.
Will the post office, will the post office do that? Will they come in and
Yeah, I think
do
so.
that? Okay,
You come into our office.
they do, okay. Landscape plan, are you proposing? I see some trees, but I didn't see a landscape plan proposed.
Or a lighting plan.
I asked for a photometric plan, yeah.
Well, but we don't have any,
So if you could
Cut
put together
shapes
your landscape and lighting plan, we don't want to have any lighting that is going off-site. We assume you're probably gonna propose LED lights because that's what everybody does. We don't have it in our code, but we like to see the color temperature 3000 Kelvin.
Okay.
Not higher than that, and we want the lighting to be dark sky compliant.
Absolutely.
cut sheets on the lights too.
Yeah, well, photometrics are more important to me, but cut sheets are fine as well.
Well, we have no idea how high these are.
The photometric plan should tell the mounting height and the fixture style.
Don't you want a cut sheet on the picture itself?
Yes, we'll get a cut sheet on the picture. And can you describe to us in a little bit more detail what the front facade, like coloration and design materiality is proposed to be? I heard, Mr. Goldman, you said an aluminum cladding. Is that intended to be what color? Is it going to be, dull or shiny? If you could be a little bit more specific about what's being proposed there.
Sure. In general, that area will be made up of glass and either an aluminum material or a stucco material. As far as the tone, it's not something that we've come to an answer on, but more likely than not, something that would work well with brick. So I can imagine the aluminum separations between the windows being black. I can imagine the stucco being a color that works well with black and that red brick.
Sure. So just as an example, we've had several other adaptive reuse projects come before the board, and we're either, specifically given like a palette of color that is proposed. So is it earth tones? Is it bright? Is it dull? Is it shiny? Those are things that are typically questions that the public are going to ask as well. So if you guys want to give that a little bit of thought and then come back to us with that information, that would be useful, go a long way to communicating your intent to the public. We've had the core 10 steel be used on brick buildings that were adaptively reused, and it sort of weathers. It has like a rusty patina to it that blends with the brick. So if you could just be a little more specific. And then are you proposing that that there be a I can't remember what this is called. What is that architectural feature called?
Or the front,
The front shade with the lettering above it.
it's a sign with.
Intrusion from the building.
Extruded letters.
It's like canopy, porch.
I'm not the architect. Are you proposing to have a canopy with the large letters above it? Is that the intent for this project? Just again, because we're gonna get that question from the public, I'm sure.
Are you referring to the front?
Yeah. the
Yeah,
front
so where it says
position,
148 Maple Avenue.
Yeah.
It does look like that comes out a little bit.
It does look like it protrudes from the facade of the building, so I'm just trying to understand what the design intent is there.
Sure, it's not something that's set in stone, but it was one of the ideas that we came up with, creating this design.
Mhm.
And beyond the actual lobby itself, it's not so much of an additional modification to the front. And whether it's, a canopy or kind of like on the building itself.
Okay. If you could decide that, if it's gonna be proud of the building, that'd be good to know. And then if there's any intent for illumination under there, we don't like internally illuminated things and we don't like uplighting. So, just keep that in mind as you're developing the details there.
When you say uplighting, do you mean lighting that would shine against the letters?
Yes,
Like the front of our building here.
yes, we hate that lighting. Other things, fuel, electric, natural gas, what are you using? Natural gas? Is there street gas there? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Was it propane in the back?
Oh, there is a propane tank in the back, but that was,
It used to run on the propane, and then there was a natural gas line that
Okay.
came after.
And any mechanical equipment pads located on the exterior of the building? Right now, there are some mini split units, I think, compressors for that are in the back and side of the building. What do you anticipate?
So all of the HVAC equipment will be mounted on the roof.
Okay,
There is, just to point out that you mentioned it at the site visit, Brandy, there are existing roof units that were visible from the back side of the building. So there are some existing there.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't remember that. Okay. Garbage there's a dumpster pad currently on the site. It looks like from your site plan, you intend to reuse that location. Will residents, will there be a super in the building that will offer garbage service, or will residents be checking out to that dumpster area with their refuse?
The expectation would be that residents bring out their trash to the dumpster.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Jonathan, do anything else?
well, where are they gonna put the handicap spaces?
Yeah, I asked them to look at their site plan
Yeah,
and
right.
ADA issues, parking and access.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other questions from board members? No, none? I'm shocked. Jeremy, anything else for you? Questions for the applicant?
No, not really. I mean, I think to Malcolm's point earlier, I hope they do their research, and I assume they will do their research very well at how to price this, so it sells quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that would be, I'm sure, part of the plan, right? Okay, if there
Just-
aren't any additional, did you have any other questions for the applicant? That you would ask the applicant that we want to make sure are on the record?
No,
Okay. All right, then we can open up for questions from the public. Does anyone have any questions? So if you could just state your name and just speak loudly.
My name is Jeffrey Purcell. My mother is Carol, who lives at 120 and immediate abutter to the property. I speak for several abutters. When I ask the question, is there a mechanism to deal with what to many of us is simple math? If each of the 30 units is owned by a wife and a husband who each drive, there is enough parking. And we know that there's potentially a technical explanation for that. And we look forward to it because we know the traffic along the road is a problem, but the traffic in the parking area itself could be a problem, given that the arithmetic of the number of houses and the number of people who might live there could overwhelm the parking. And to those of us right next door or across the street, it feels like a big deal, and I apologize if it's not to you, but
It is
we'd just like to address
a
it.
serious issue.
Okay.
This
thank
is Linda Tropicante.
I live across the street.
Yeah.
You've got a
Did
serious
you-
issue on your hands.
Ma'am, did you want to make a specific comment? If you could please just state your name for our record.
Linda Tropicante, I live across the street, and the parking issue is gonna be a challenge. And the people coming in and out on their daily lives and the traffic on the street is going to be a nightmare. Total nightmare. It's too many units for the amount of space you're working with.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Richard Shannon, 180 Maple Avenue, right next door. I really don't have a big problem. I do think that garbage is gonna be a problem with the bears. Cause I've got them right up on my deck looking in the window. And there should be a fence around it. A good height of the fence. The
Yeah.
second thing is, I'm concerned a little bit about my end of this part. What's gonna be there, and how close it's coming to where I don't know.
Would you like us to go back and show the plan so that we can see, because your property line is fairly close. Yeah,
Sure, just to clarify, do you live to the left of the building?
Yes,
So our plan for that side is to demolish the two-story structure. And then,
the buildings that are there.
right. And then to add balconies facing your house. So that's all. That's all.
That door on that side will also be removed, right? So there won't be any entrance on that side of the building.
Right, there won't be any entrance on that side.
There won't be.
Right.
and Mr. Goldman, when we were in our field visit, you had described the size of those balconies. Can you give us the dimensions that you're proposing?
Roughly 3 feet by 6 feet.
So they're
3
like,
feet deep and 6 feet. There's the existing size of the window.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
No parties out there.
yes,
For people here about how those basement units come out into
The-
outside.
yeah, and that's what Mr. Goldman had explained that, but maybe we need to look at the elevation again. Chris, are you able to pull up the A 2.01, which are the rendered elevations, and if we look at number 4, which is at the bottom of the sheet, that is the one that faces Mr. Shimmon's property.
so you wanna look at this bottom of the sheet
That's what
here?
they're calling it south elevation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is looking at the front of the building from the street and the extreme left, or let's say westerly side nearest to 180 Maple. That's
Yeah,
what you want to see?
No,
Yeah.
this, or the south elevation, I think, so,
if you scroll
down to the
down,
bottom.
that,
Oh,
oh, maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
renumbered from our side. That's
Yeah.
really frustrating. 'cause
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought the new updated,
That's all right.
so the applicant did provide, they updated the plans to reflect the new floor,
Yeah.
bedroom count.
We probably didn't, it's probably after we done.
So,
That's-
so that's east elevation is 4, on our packet, 4 is south elevation, so can we maybe find the south, that one? Ah, that's the one right there, 3, 2. Wow, they're numbered out of order, 3, 2, 4.
Well, I didn't really rest.
I
So
think
this
it's-
is,
no, the building's at an angle. So,
Yeah, so that's, Mr. Sherman, that's the view from your house, right?
Yeah.
So as it was described to us, the existing porch structure that's there now would be removed, so that's what's on the
Yes.
right side. And then some of the larger windows would be converted to sliders or French doors. And then those little porches would be put on. Mr. Goldman, can you just explain for us, in the near ground of that elevation, there's some stone and then some railing. Is that what's being created to create the areaways for the lower level?
Exactly, so that is one of the areaways, and the stone wall is the retaining wall. And on top of that would be a glass rail. Our intent was to match the design of the balconies and tie them together.
Okay, thank you.
wait, that's what she said was the
The
dry
dry
well.
Mhm.
So which is it the areaway or is it a dry well protecting the areaway?
Sorry, I dropped off for a second, but that is a dry wall in front of the areaway.
Okay, and so that's 4 or 6 feet wide or something, and it's got a railing all around it. Is that correct?
As far as the dry well?
Yeah.
So I believe the dry well itself isn't 6 feet wide in itself. I believe we have it at 3 or 4 feet, and then
Whatever it is. But it's gonna have railing on,
yes, yep. Anywhere that there's a fall risk from a pedestrian path, there will be a railing there to protect anybody.
Would you be willing to put up some trees, plant some trees along there? On top of the hill?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Are you concerned by the way it looks?
No, I'm not. I'm concerned about people going out there just looking down on it. I'm out on my deck. That's all.
Sure.
Your deck faces this, if I remember
Okay,
correctly,
okay.
right? Yeah,
100 feet,
and you have a few like cedar trees or,
yeah, they're dying.
yeah, they probably live their life, right? Yeah, no, the landscaping, that's good to know, and if particularly any sort of building mounted lighting that might be on that side. Again, you're very close to that property line there, so we'd be interested in just making sure that there's not spillage and that the lights have cut off fixtures on them so that they're not causing glare into the abutters property. Yes, please. Jen.
Mr. Goldman,
Yeah.
what's my experience like if I'm in a basement apartment? What do I see when I look out my window? Can I get out to a porch or a deck or an outside space? What's that experience like?
Our goal is that for people living in the basement, they shouldn't feel like they are living in the basement. So aside from making these areaways to comply with code, they will be fairly deep. And our hope is that there will be a lot of natural light, and that people feel that their units are more spacious. If you were looking from the unit to the areaway, you would see a retaining wall. It would be probably covered in a veneer type of stone. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Any other members of the public wish to comment or speak, Mr. Purcell?
Yes, in the site plan L101. It shows some planters along the parking on the east side of the parking lot. Those planters partially cover parking spots on 25, 26, 27, 28, and then 35, 36, and 37. And the issue that I wish to address very briefly is that people parking in the parking lots above that, especially if they're parking in, their lights shine straight on Carol Purcell's property. And I'd like to ask Mr. Goldman, with respect, is there a way to have the planters in such a way that they prevent the lights from shining directly into her kitchen and her living room?
It's actually a requirement of the bylaw.
Oh, right.
Parking needs to be screened, yeah.
So, you know, our intention is not for any lighting to seep onto any of the abutters.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record, that's all.
Of course, and as the planning board has already alluded to, we'll be providing a photometric layout.
I think his concern is cars.
Yeah.
Headlights.
The lights from cars, because people often, they'll turn on their car starting in October, they'll leave the lights on for 15 minutes while the car heats up. This is shooting right at you. It's just an interesting effect when you're in a butter.
Yeah, it's actually illegal in the state of Massachusetts to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not. the
5 minutes.
It is, well, it is.
So your question though, is it, could there be some screening to address headlight shine onto the property to the north?
Yeah,
Yes,
from the
From the
west
parking
to the
area.
east is where it does.
yes.
That's, yeah.
I agree.
Anyone else from the public have any questions? And do we have members online that have questions? Anyone in the room? We'll start there. Okay, we'll go to online.
Sure.
Hi Sharon, you want to state your name for the record?
Muted.
Go ahead and unmute yourself. You able to unmute her? We
Are
can
you
hear
asking
now.
me?
You had your hand raised, Sharon.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was an accident then. Sorry.
Do you have a cat? Because we have a problem with a rude cat.
I do, and she's very bossy, but I don't think she did it.
Okay. Okay, if there are no other comments, then.
Yeah, good.
Well,
Could I?
you have another comment, Jonathan?
Yeah. For the architect, could I just suggest that we really need a graphic scale on each of these drawings? You know,
Yeah.
having, showing 1/32 of an inch on a reduced set of drawings doesn't tell me anything.
Okay. Yeah, we typically have our scale on the left-hand aligned margin, and then also
Right.
stated, but I can definitely make sure that that is included. And
Oh, there it is. It's hidden.
we're sneaky. We try to be a little trendy sometimes.
It's hidden where the staples are.
Oh, no.
Okay,
I see it. Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
so, Nick, I saw you were taking like copious notes there, but.
As I could, yeah.
So we've asked for some additional information. We try and be like comprehensive in asking for that now, so that if you get it all together, we can move forward in our process.
Yeah,
So I think, specifically some information about the design, the specifics of the design for the facade of the building. And then a number of site-related questions around accessibility and handicap parking and accessible routes, lighting and landscape plans, including a photometric plan and the details of lighting. For landscaping, we do have a tree committee here that provides a list of recommended tree species. So that's on our webpage under our tree committee. So feel free to use that as a resource. We do have the letters from the fire district and the sewer, so that's good. Some details on what you're doing with the front facade as far as the canopy and any sort of signage or annotation that's going to be on that canopy. In general, what is proposed for signage, either wayfinding or warning signage. What else? What am I forgetting?
Lighting, landscaping, handicap parking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Handicap access to the front if needed. It might be useful for the applicant to show a photo or a visual of what these dry wells and areaways might look like.
The bear comment is real. That is not fake. We do have a small cohort of black bears that are very happy to get into garbage. You are, I'm sure, aware of this as someone who lives locally.
Can I make a comment to that too?
Jeremy,
so
at your development, do you guys have?
Yeah,
central
we
garbage?
have dumpsters, and I recommend getting dumpsters that are bear safe. Don't rely on the fencing because bears love to just break fencing. And so you need a dumpster that bears can't get into, so they can't have plastic lids, they have to have metal lids and to be able to be secured. I mean, the fencing is nice for screening purposes, but not to keep bears out when you're dealing with a dumpster.
Welcome to the Berkshires, Mr. Goldman. Sorry. It's pretty, but we have bears. Okay, what else?
And
Okay.
yeah, once
Yeah.
once they discover it, they come back again and again and again and
They
again. So
remember
you want to stop them from day one thinking it's their takeout.
That it's a snack bar.
As far as the landscape, I'd just like to call attention to 8.10.2, number 6. This is the special permit requirements. And it says that parking areas are screened from adjacent streets and properties. And have additional landscaped areas within parking areas to reduce the impact of large pave areas. So that's probably something you should keep in mind as far as the landscape plan.
Right, I think the intent, you know, as far as what the current layout was it's existing.
Doesn't say new parking, it says parking has to be screened.
Yeah, they're quite well taken.
I would recommend you consider that. Screening the parking.
That, okay. All right, we'll discuss that. I mean, it means somehow screening virtually all of the.
Well, there are some parking spaces that
40 to
point
50 are
across the street, you know, and
Sure.
into adjacent property.
Right.
Most of them don't. So,
40 to 50 are screened.
Numbers, right.
Mr. Purcell, you had one more question?
Sorry, several of us are interested in whether there's an official note that we are concerned at a high level about the arithmetic of parking and the traffic that produces. That's, I know it's already been dealt with in the bylaws,
Yeah.
and there has been a traffic study, we understand that.
Right,
But we live there and it's just as if there's a disconnect between what the bylaw says about habitation units, like 30 of them,
yeah,
and the actual number of people who will drive and live there.
yeah,
And we feel it's a problem waiting to happen, and we merely wish it to be acknowledged so that we can say, you know, we did our best to alert the board
yeah.
and Mr. Goldman and Mr. Arianti
Yes.
with respect to our issue.
Sure, no, we understand. I mean, as you know, the code does require one space per unit.
Yes.
So they are meeting that plus 17 or 18 spaces. Which I think speaks to, you know, we don't know who's gonna live in those units.
But we do know current practice, and all over where units like these are built, people to save their money do pack into them. Sometimes one owner will have his other 2 bedrooms are with a couple, each of whom drive. My 2 children live in Oakland and in New York City, and they tell me, Dad, it's crazy, that's just how it is. And 2 of them, just anecdotally, have been all over the country, living in San Diego, Denver, all over during COVID to see what the country was like. Everywhere it was the same. So I bring not just the local concern, I bring the concern of my
Yes.
neighbors who
Sure.
feel as if there's a disconnect, and the disconnect is basic arithmetic. It's not like some kind of, you know, profound issue until The arithmetic meets reality.
Yeah, and I'll just say for myself, I understand what you're saying. We have, as a board, we have a lot of discussions about parking. We are trying to strike a balance in the community as far as available parking, but not too much parking, because more parking adds more hardscape surfaces, which adds heat and stormwater runoff and all sorts of things. So if you recall, this was a bigger issue with the previous application, with more units and less offset. So, but it's on the record, it's gonna be in the minutes. And we appreciate the comment. Thank you.
Didn't you give the previous people a permit for the doing this?
There was a permit issued for a previous application, yes, but that application is not what's before the board currently.
No, I realize that, but why would it be any different now?
There are fewer units proposed this time.
Yeah, and more parking.
And yes, sir, that's correct. Okay, yes, sir.
Hi, Jay Garzone, 84 North Plain Road. I was just asking about, is there gonna be commercial activity? Because I heard dog grooming on site, so I don't know if that's just for the residents or people outside, which would bring more people to park there, so I don't know if that's.
Well, one of the tenant amenities will be a pet grooming station. But there won't be any commercial space or retail space that will be accessible to the public.
So it's just where people can take and wash their dog.
Okay, how long do you think you guys need to get some revised information back to us? We typically meet twice a month. Are we meeting twice this month? We're only meeting once this month. So our next meeting, I don't know what I did with my phone.
12th, I think, January 12th.
What we need to do is continue the public hearing to a date certain, so it would either be the 12th of January or the 26th of January.
Yeah, definitely as well.
The 12th.
If that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's fine, so we'll do that, and if something comes up, we can just continue it again.
What's the other one that was continued? And when is that
To the
continued
12th.
to?
Yeah.
Well, so that's it. That's a big meeting.
We can do it. I'll bring snacks.
I'll bring a
Bring a pillow.
Oh, I'm bringing caffeine for everyone.
48 first.
Okay, so we will continue the public hearing. I need a motion to continue the public hearing to the 12th of January 2023 at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Thank you, Jonathan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Malcolm. Do we have any discussion on that? Hearing none. Jeremy, what's your vote?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
Pedro?
No,
Randy? Aye. Okay, great. We'll see you guys on the 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Happy
Thank
holidays.
you for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye. 23.
Yeah, ready or not?
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we have additional business, so if you're gonna discuss, if you could please take it out into the hall, we'd appreciate that. So our next item on the agenda is item number 5, site plan review for 79 Bridge Street. Excuse me, ma'am.
Randy?
Yeah, hang on.
Ms. Traficante.
Do you mind taking the discussion in the hall, because we've got additional business we have to attend to? No, ma'am. Just that one application.
Not even close. Our night's just started.
Thank you. Yes,
Brandy?
Yes.
I'm gonna be recusing myself from this discussion. Because I work, my employer is the co-op, which currently rents some parking spaces from the applicant.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. So Jeremy is recusing himself here. You can note that in the minutes. And let me just give Chris a moment to get himself situated.
This is, this is a recommendation
What is it?
and a recommendation, but they're modifying the special permit, so.
Are they?
That's a good question. 9.4.
Chris?
Mr. Rimble,
Yes,
we have a question.
a little bit.
Is there a special permit, for the,
Is this
They're
a,
modifying the special permit, right?
Nope, they're modifying the site plan.
so
But
just
not the
like,
special permit?
Correct.
there we go.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
And I'm sure Kate kind of.
Not sure how they do that. Yeah, I'm not sure
Well,
how
we'll
they do
let
that.
Pete explain it to us. Kate, you're gonna have to explain something to us. So, okay, so next set, so do you guys need another minute for technology?
I could, well, I can talk before technology is
So,
ready.
so maybe you can.
Lauren's not used.
You can application 79 Bridge Street Realty LLC for approval of updated site plan for construction alterations, change use, parking, landscaping, and other aspects of the approved 88-room hotel at 79 Bridge Street, filed per section 9.4 and 10.5 of the zoning bylaw. So if you don't mind introducing yourself, and then Mr. Hinkin is asking why this isn't also a a special permit modification.
Okay, great.
Is your microphone off so that it doesn't reverb? or-
It was reverbing at the time, so Kathleen McCormick, Mercon Markets. I'm here tonight on behalf of 79 Bridge Street Realty LLC. I'm here with Matt Hutton from SK Design. And before you, we have a modification of this site plan. So originally, the site plan approval was given in 2012, maybe? 2016, 2016, that's better.
And then
And
2019.
then it was modified in 2019. Okay, I have that. So we're working off of the 2019 modification here. We do have a special permit, and I think that's where you were going. None of our use has changed throughout this process, so we're still proposing an 88-room hotel. All of our changes don't affect the use that was approved, and we feel are very small, that they're not a substantial change in the special permit application. The only thing that we are changing is really the footprint of the building and how it adjusts a little bit, and everything is more condensed. So what brought us to the changes, just to bring back the process, when we originally did this meeting, it was a very long process for all of you who were involved there. And a lot of it had to do with the historical building and saving portions of the building. To get to a point where the project was ready to build, a lot of we designed it in theory, but a lot of technical work still had to be done. That was done, which led to the next modification that we came in front of you. So we got to a point where we were ready to build it. Unfortunately, right after that we were there and we were ready to move forward, the COVID hit, and it changed the whole scope of hospitality for that time. And quite frankly, lenders didn't really want to be in the hospitality business at that time. So we're back involved. We're engaged with a bank, a lender. It's a federal government financing entity that we're working with. We're at a point where the lender is looking for the 100% complete building drawings. So while we're actually getting from the scope and where we were to the structural, very technical building drawings that SK has been working on, that's what's brought us to today's, this is what needs to be built, okay? So our goal is to get these plans finalized, to get them to the lender, to get this really moving. We're at a point where we want to build it. This town needs it to be built. That structure needs to be dealt with. And that's kind of what brought us back to brought us back to you. So, that's why this is a site plan review. Really, the only changes are around the site plan, and we're gonna talk about them, today. To go through these site plan issues, I think the best, because they're technical, is for me to turn it over to Matt, and if there are questions throughout the process, we can, go through it, but, you know, all of the major details we've all heard before, and it still remains 88 rooms. And still gonna be a hotel, we talked about this on the site visit, but in case someone's listening here, the original, the original plan that was done had a restaurant and some conference space, that was reduced already and modified in the 2019. So that's off the table, but it's already approved and off the table, so just to let you know, we're not taking away any other services or anything, it's just, this is really what's needing to build the project in a very technical build set plan. So I'm gonna pass it over.
Sure, good evening, folks, Matt Munson from SK. Adding on to what Kate just explained, here is a plan that I think is helpful to understand the scope of the building. There is the kind of lighter purplish footprint, which is actually the existing building / school that's out there now. With, you know, with a couple of L extensions, you know, in a couple of various locations. We at one time had gotten approval for the blue footprint, which included the kind of the leg heading towards Bridge Street, and then of course the perimeter of the building. And the current design before you now is the red footprint. So again, a little bit smaller than the last approved submission. So this just helps kind of understand the scope of the building. We did submit a fairly detailed set of civil site plans that I'm sure you've seen all sorts of versions over the years for different projects. There is about half a dozen slight changes that I'll just go through real quickly. I'm going to use Kate's cheat sheet over here. One is the reduction in building area. The numbers that we previously saw were total square footage. I generally focus on footprint, meaning what's sitting on the ground, because that's the numbers that I'm used to working with. The building itself is about 4,000 square feet smaller than the previous approval. That in turn gives us a little bit more green space to work with.
Okay, Matt,
Yes,
just move your
oh,
mouse.
sorry. There you go there. Yeah, okay. So at any time, I mean, I have a variety of plans here. I'm not sure what might be best representative. I'm gonna suggest we go to this one, which is the most current site plan, I'll call it. Shows the building footprint, the parking, and the surrounding green space. It's a good visual one where it's not too busy, but I think you get a good feel for everything that's going on. Parking is always important as with any project. With 88 rooms, we're required to have 88 parking spaces. We are proposing 100. So there's a little bit extra. That's accomplished by adding some parking on the kind of south side here, where at one time there was an extension of the proposed building, kind of I'll call it. That has since been removed. We're suggesting we put some parking there. There's also been some other revisions to the, I'll call it the north parking lot coming off of Church Street. Just the overall reconfiguration, we're now looking at 100 total parking spaces. The lighting plan. I'm just going through the bullet points right now for what was brought up, and if I can find my lighting plan. Here we go. Current lighting plan proposed. And I know this is going to raise some questions, and hopefully I have some answers. A variety of pole mounted lights around the parking, the driveway, again, the north parking. I believe there's a couple pieces of information missing off this plan that might be relevant. I've been told that the proposed light height is 25 feet. This was prepared by the electrical engineer assisting with the actual building design. I did not see that actual mark anywhere on this plan, so I just got an email from them recently saying 25-foot full height. I was able to do some Google searching tonight and found what the fixture looks like. I can share it now if you like. If you want to bear with me 1 second. Do this. I think I have to.
And the actual technical specs are there, including the product number. I think the only thing that was left off there was the actual photo, which is
So
right there.
From what I could find tonight on relatively short notice, cross-referencing the make and the model of the light, this is what I believe the electrical engineer is proposing. We could, of course, always follow up with more clarification, but that's what I was able to put together, not knowing the specifics until kind of just the last minute. And I'm gonna turn you back to here. Some other changes, landscaping and drainage. I'll touch quickly on drainage and then I'll jump over to landscaping because I think the plan is more relevant. The drainage on the property is essentially the same that was as previously approved. It's rather involved. Here's kind of an oversight, showing a variety of structures in the parking lot, underground chambers, which you may be familiar with, collects the stormwater, treats it, allows it to percolate back into the ground. Overall, I assume a question might be is how are we on impervious area versus proposed, versus previously approved? I can tell you we are less impervious area. I'm confident in saying that. I'm afraid I can't give an exact number. It never really came up as we prepared this, but the fact that we have, a smaller building, more green space, even though we are adding some parking on the south, I am confident that we have no more impervious area. Actually, I would like to say we're gonna have less than the previous approval. And yet we're still proposing the same drainage system overall. So there will be no change in drainage runoff. If anything, it's a slight improvement. And then going over to landscaping, because I know that's often a important item. So what we've submitted is an updated landscaping plan that shows, of course, the new building footprint, the new parking. I'll be honest, we did this on our own. We did not get a landscape architect involved. I think it was a good effort. I'm a civil engineer. I'm not a landscape architect. We generally followed the previous submittal, which was done by Craig Overton and Lang. It's no secret. It was part of the original submission. We took it on ourselves to do this one. And what you see here is a variety of plants and shrubs and trees around the property, similar in nature to the previous group plan. That's kind of a general oversight of the I would call it the more significant changes from the previous approval. There was some questions that were circulated by Chris prior to the meeting. I'm not sure if that went to the board also, if I should talk about those or if we should, answer questions.
I think you've gotten to most of them. I think there were a few technical things related to stormwater and landscape and improvements related to a sewer easement that runs through the property and just making sure there's no conflict there.
Sure, I'll touch on that briefly. There is a sewer easement that encompasses, let me see if I can get to it.
Well, while he's looking for it, I'll just give the legal explanation. So as part of the first plan, when we were in front of the all of the boards to the permitting process, one of our first requirements was to give an easement back to the town. When the town sold the property to Iredale, it was left off, and it should have been granted at that time. So we agreed to do so. It took us a little bit of time, Chris and I, to get through all of the needed hoops to be able to do it, but we've done it and recorded it. So though it says proposed, it's actually been recorded and it's already been granted, so we can update the language. I don't know if that really much of an impact. But that language, that easement is already recorded in the registry.
Which easement is that?
So if you look up at the screen, it's on the east side of the building,
Is that one?
focusing on the sewer line.
Yeah,
Existing sewer line that was
that's an existing sewer line that runs under the oak tree.
correct, and we've given that back to the town.
Arguably, it's a sewer main. It's rather large.
Pretty big.
It's significant. So now there's an easement generated for the town to maintain it.
The town never had an easement from ourselves when we owned the school.
They didn't need it.
Yeah, so we just did that cleaning up and that housekeeping's been done. So it's no longer proposed, it's existing easement.
And to elaborate on a potential conflict that was brought up was the electrical.
I had some technical comments that I sent to the applicant today, but.
Okay.
Sorry, that was it.
Yeah,
One of the questions was the electric vehicle parking / charging stations here, kind of in the northeast corner. So this landscape plan doesn't show the easement. The easement partially overlaps these. As we were having a discussion with BJ Mahita here, I'm sure you folks know, we're suggesting that actually we would locate them over in this other parking lot off to the side. It would be west of the building, relatively close to the building. Seems like it might be a better fit. We still want to do the same amount. We just want to relocate them, get them out of the easement.
Can I offer just a suggestion? Because I've been doing a lot of electric charging stations lately.
Because I have.
Yeah, so if they're fast chargers, meaning the kind that charge pretty rapidly, they need a dedicated three-phase service and a dedicated transformer, typically a pad mounted transformer, which takes up about a 10 by 10 space. So you may just want to think about that in terms of what kind of charging station you're
I
in.
just met with somebody for my other couple property.
Did you introduce yourself?
Oh, Vijay Mahida.
Thank you.
And they are talking about level 2, so it's not that the Tesla has the fast charger, but
Yeah.
it's not that the at home, so
Yeah.
it's in between.
Ask-
So something like that, whatever works your co-op as that kind of thing.
Just ask what additional equipment you need to have installed, because my experience with a couple of different styles of chargers is that a lot of them have a separate meter. And so you minimally have a meter pan that has to be sited somewhere nearby, and some of them have a transformer requirement, and typically that's a pad mounted transformer. So it's just, it takes up a lot of space. It's shocking how much. It takes up, so.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Sure.
We would have to deal with that anyway, no matter where it is, but, I think we're happy with relocating it on that side, just to stay out of the sewer area, just in case that was ever an issue.
Yeah, and I think the trick with the electric charging is if it's a amenity to your facility, you want people to be able to see it. But the infrastructure that goes along with it can be a little bit clunky and not as aesthetically pleasing as we all might want it to be. Matt, just to be clear too, on your site plan, so we made a site visit earlier today. And Kate did a fabulous job standing in as an engineer. She explained how the grading for the parking on the School Street side is low, so it's gonna sit at the same level as the hotel. And that means that upper School Street entrance will be closed off. There'll be a retaining wall that was still proposed originally, right?
That follows, basically last approval was similar.
Mhm.
I was always kind of wrapping my head around why do we need such a big retaining wall? And as I visited the site several times, this west parking lot that there's now is quite a bit higher than the floor of the school.
Right.
So we of course want to make our parking lot level with or near level of
Yeah.
the new hotel.
Yeah.
So it does call for a retaining wall here on the west side. I personally like what we call the Ready Rock wall, which is a brand.
Mhm.
It's big, large precast modular blocks, similar to the one that was done over here behind the fire station, the old fire station. I designed that one. I would like a similar style. I think it's one of the more aesthetically pleasing pre-modular walls. So it'll be several feet tall, and we're gonna have to put a railing on top of it. If not for code reasons, just for safety reasons.
Yeah.
I would say code is gonna require that. Building code action.
And those were all identified in both of the other two modifications, so there's nothing
And
different.
No change to that proposal, nor the change to provide something binding that grows on it, just to sort of soften it a little bit.
We can do that every
I
day.
think
Yeah.
you've got it on your plan.
They actually make a block, they call it planter block.
Mhm.
So you can actually put topsoil on it and let whatever grow on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, softening that is a fine approach. I think we're all on board with softening that visual.
I'm just thinking if I'm walking along that road,
Yeah,
what do I see when I look right towards the hotel?
so on this plan, we're showing kind of, I'll be granted with you as an engineer doing a landscaping plan, a broad term of landscape there. That was a discussion point that we had, putting large trees there, I don't think makes sense, or trees that could be large. Such as oaks, they get very, very big, I think, even maples. I would suggest some smaller, lower plantings. I don't think we're ever gonna be able to completely stop seeing the hotel. right?
I don't want to not see,
No, no, no.
I don't want to see the cars.
Okay,
Oh, so are you asking about the school street or Bridge Street? Are you
I'm talking
walking
about
on
school.
School, okay.
so you'll be 6 to 7 feet higher than the parking lot. At worst case, some areas will be 3 to 4 feet, but it get, School Street goes up as the parking lot stays flat, so the wall will be about 6 feet tall.
Okay.
Can I guarantee you won't see the cars below? No, I'm sorry. I'm just,
I think that whatever you see now, certainly it will look better than what we see now.
Yeah.
Compared to whatever.
Yeah, you'll see. They'll have less.
That's
less
an
impact.
easy one, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be more, it's gonna be
Yeah,
cut
okay.
down, so more hidden.
Yeah.
You'll probably notice the building and not really the parking lot if you're walking down School Street.
That's, I just don't want to see cars. I just-
Yeah.
I don't think there's a sidewalk on that side anyway.
there is now.
Yeah.
Along the
Yeah,
school?
yeah.
Yeah, they redid it partially, I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
Matt, could you tell us about the gate to that west parking lot?
Sure, down in this lower left area.
Yeah,
So, VJ working with his consultants and his preference is potentially to gate off, the parking lots, so they're not just randomly used by people who aren't really, a guest. We're still working out some details, but I do believe it's VJ's preference that at a minimum that parking lot will be gated.
And it's for the registered guests for the whoever staying at the hotel, so.
Mhm.
but they,
Indoor employees,
but they, and employees or,
indoor employees, potentially, yeah,
because the guests, when they arrive, won't be able to park there.
that's correct. They're gonna have to come in through, either off of Bridge Street or off of Church Street.
Yeah.
And come through and check in. So actually, that's what I call the main entrance is
In the
out of
back,
the back.
Yeah.
Depending on how you're, technically, how you look at it.
Yeah.
But this will be the entrance, we
And
check
that's
in.
where reception was designed for the
Right.
flow to be in the back.
right?
So they're gonna, their room key is gonna open that like it would open an extra.
When the first customer come in to check in, then they just press the button, identify who they are, then they can come in, they register, and then they get the key to park anywhere they want, but then that key will open the gate, and once they check out, then key will be terminated, so.
And that would also, is the entrance to the back also gonna be gated?
Correct.
Okay.
There's a good chance that we were kind of still a little bit, I think, up in the air, but leaning towards gating those also. It gets technically a little bit sometimes complicated with gates, 2 entrances, the guests in and out. But there's a likelihood that those would be gated.
What about mail and trash and,
Well, I think that's why I say technical, maybe it's logistics might be a better term, you're right, yeah. Oh, so I'll touch on trash real quickly. Over here along the west side. Is the proposed dumpster area, which has a dedicated driveway. Out to Church Street. This is a similar location as the previous plan from 2019. I was cross-referencing that tonight, and they're really close to each other within 20-25 feet.
and who's gonna use those spaces?
So these are dedicated for the Riverwalk.
Ah, those are the river.
These are separate from the 100 count that I gave you before. So these are 4 more spaces for the Riverwalk.
And
Okay.
they're not going to be gated, so they can.
Right.
Come and go anytime they want.
That was one of the challenges we had with trying to secure our parking lot for random people parking there. Yet letting the Riverwalk have their 4 spaces that was previously not.
So I wonder, and I'm grateful that you're providing spaces for the Riverwalk. I wonder if you'd consider having a little like stone dust path that gets you across the gated.
Probably up to here.
Because I think you're gonna end up with a little desire line that gets created there anyway, where people are traipsing over to the park. They're parking, there's not a sidewalk there.
Sure, so if someone parks here, they're gonna probably jump the island,
That,
walk the island.
that's my
Yeah.
guess, so why not identify that and make it clear?
It's gonna be gated.
No, the,
So some people park here where my cursor is. You can see it.
then how do
And they're
you
gonna get out
walk to
and
the
probably walk over to
What's
this
your-
little park here.
Yeah.
street?
Is this gonna be?
Or do we want people to buy into
Well,
the street?
The gate might be back a little further.
I don't think the gate will be the inhibiting factor. It's a gate to stop vehicles, not
It's just
people.
like a swing arm.
Yeah, like, it's not a 6-foot chain link fence with a high security gate. It's to stop vehicles. I appreciate the, try to direct them so they're not just kind of roaming around the
I
parking lot.
think you think about that, yeah, I think it, just make it clear.
I do know there's some sort of entrance over here now.
Right.
This plan doesn't show perfectly. We kind of show this trail that I think is there. I think we can connect point A to point B.
And are you gonna gate the entrance from Bridge Street?
Down here in the bottom.
Yeah,
So the actual discussion is we do it somewhere on the side of the building. Maybe closer to where my cursor is here.
I think that someone's free to
You
drop
you
off.
kind of pull in and do a
Yeah.
loop around.
Okay,
So there'd be no vehicle queuing into Bridge Street.
Yeah, we were conscious of that too. One time we talked about putting it a little closer to kind of where this intersection is, and there was discussion. 2 or 3 vehicles, they could be backed up on the road.
But if you have a gate there, then your intention is for people to go to the front door. Not to the back of the building.
Yeah, I think you go in and register and get the
So
key card.
where my cursor is here is the general thought of where a gate might be located on the east side of the building.
but if I haven't registered, how do I get to the registry?
Well, that's one of the logistical kind of challenges, but I think VJ might have an answer.
Whenever you just, there is a conference, number that you dial is directly goes to our registration. And then our person just to push the button and open the gate.
And there'll be signage that directs the guests to enter that way as opposed to going in the front. It'll say check-in. You know,
Uh-huh.
Like anytime you go to the city or whatever, you don't have reservation, you go in parking, or you have reservation. You go in the parking lot, like, but you push the button and they open the gate, so.
So what do you envision is the purpose of the front door?
I'm sorry,
The front door with that.
The Bridge Street side.
Yeah,
that's for our patio. Or the porch with the table or more sitting area, not the official entrance.
and pedestrian use, if they're gonna walk into town. From that they're staying at the, so they're not gonna check in and out of there, but if they're gonna walk to town,
They're going to eat dinner, they're going to go to the movies, they're going
Yeah,
to shopping.
it brings them to the pedestrian way of.
I know, I'm just wondering why you need a driveway to do that.
Oh, the circular driveway.
It's a legacy feature.
It's there.
You know, it could be grassed over, it could be turned into.
I think it also
Green space,
provides,
yeah.
when we looked at the special permit, it provides fire access.
Fire access, yeah.
So it serves that function as well.
And also, I think it's a little confusing. I understand the porte cochere is in the back, and that's gonna be the main entrance.
Yeah, there's one,
But-
there's not one in the front too.
No, there's no porta share, there's no porta share on Bridge Street. Porta share is near the northern parking lot, right here.
But
You know, look at this
But-
elevation there, look like there's something there.
So. I think I have the elevation.
It's at the, it's at the end of our packet.
That's not it.
The
I
last
believe it's
page.
just a heated
going.
porch, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, just a porch, to forget
Here we go.
that,
From the second floor.
The plans on the left were previously approved, the plans on the right are the current design. The upper right, if I can zoom in a little, if it helps. This is the north side. Correct.
that's the porte cochere.
yeah.
Yeah. And then so on the
South
south side.
Bridge Street.
The front of the building.
I can scroll down just a little.
There it is, right there.
Looks like a pretty big structure to me.
It does.
Well, it's a covered
Covered floor.
covered porch, I assume.
I think the original special permit, Kate, had a porch across the entire.
The entire
facade,
thing, second one shrunk it down,
Shrunk back.
yeah, to just be the two, like, I don't know what you call them, an architect. Should I ask you, Pedro, what you call the pieces in the middle?
You mean the side pieces?
The pieces in the middle.
Yeah, so just to basically give good balance to the, to what we're protecting, so, we gave more, we made the porch smaller from in the first modification. Originally, it was the full brick portion of the building.
And if you look at that elevation up above, I mean, that's. Car fits in there.
This is the
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong
that's
side.
the east side.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm thinking, anyway. If
That one
it
needs
is
to
what,
be
And that
put
is for
right
the
in
car,
there.
yeah.
yeah, the other one looks stupid. Anyway, if you, it is what you say, then as we say, as long as we're here, can I ask you a couple questions on the elevation? If you go to the top of the
That one?
page,
Bear
yeah,
with me one second.
that's the north elevation. I'm assuming that all these little squares are PTAC units, right? Those little
It's,
black squares. Jeremy had that question too.
Can you, just for the benefit of the public,
What's a
explain what PTAC is?
Actually,
it's not PTEC, it's a VTEC. So PTEC is the more linear. The VTEC are more residential.
Right,
And
but
then
they're,
Heating and cooling?
yeah, they're heating and cooling.
Heating and cooling unit
Yeah.
for each room.
And so I have another question too. If you look at the new addition that you have there, we have all these blank facades. We don't have floor plans. So I don't know why these facades are all blank.
Over to the right-hand side of it?
Yeah, like right where your cursor is and then further over and if you look at the front of the building, it's the same. And on the side of the building, there's some blank facades too. I'm just curious. Why there are no windows there? I mean,
No,
I'm assuming there's rooms there.
my guessing is that I don't have the floor plan in front of me, but my guessing is the window will be on the bridge, not the bridge, it was School Street. So this is just, no, and this side may be the, bed, so not window.
Pedro, that side,
This faces Jane Iredale.
faces
That-
Jane Iredale and the retaining wall
Yeah.
that provides the grade separation. So,
No,
Jane had some, well, I don't know what your agreement is with Jane, but she had some specific requirements. I don't think there was, there
This
weren't windows proposed back
School
then.
Street.
well, that's, I think there's even some zoning language somewhere that doesn't look favorably upon blank facades like that. I mean, it's kind of strange. I don't know if that, it is what it is. I don't know what's behind there on the other side because I don't have a plan, like I
Are you
said.
talking about character?
No, I'm not talking about character. It's just, when you see blank facade like this, it's kind of weird. And it is that's facing the back, so it's not so bad. The School Street side is, I guess, the one that's a little more concerning.
This is the School
That's,
Street.
the-
side.
Yeah, no.
yeah, that's the School Street side.
I was just curious if you had a, quick answer. Sure, there's windows on this side, but I don't think that, for example, the middle of that little section of building probably has a room in it. But like I said, I don't have a plan, so I can't tell. So I'm just wondering what was there.
Where are you looking?
Right there, where's cursor?
The
is?
second floor on
You go a little to the
the,
right.
Why is the wall
That
blank?
section
Is
is-
that,
Why is
what's
the
that
wall-
thinking? Is it a second? Like,
A mechanical
is it-
room or something? I mean,
No, you have, I'm looking at the special permit. the
Yeah.
Floor plan from that, you have king suites up there. And you have suites in the north side looking towards the Iredale building as well. So those two blank facades on the renderings.
this would all change.
You know, that was just like a drawing from out. Like, is that just a drawing there?
So you might want to, yeah, it might just be a drawing area. You might want to check that. I think
Okay.
you've got windows in both those places.
Okay.
Yeah, you have king rooms in both those places.
So, this is a bit of a challenge having two primary entrances. And regardless of how nice they make the porte cochere and all of that, the Bridge Street elevation is still gonna feel like the front of the building. And so that's gotta be really welcoming and, whatever you do. I'm not saying it's not, but. So I happen to like the driveway running in front of that, and so you can do drop-offs there and that sort of thing.
And I don't want to, don't please board, don't take this as disrespect, but we went through a lot of permitting before on a lot of items. And we did our best back then on the first time around to design quote by committee or multiple boards.
Yeah.
We got to a place that I think everyone was pretty happy with the project. And we're really here, not because we're changing the intent or the aspects, but we're just now really trying to get it to life, and getting it to life is, really our main goal here.
Ours too.
No, I know, and I just don't want to get hung up on details that we're not changing, because that haven't changed from where we were before till now. So like the circular driveway, was on the original plan. So I really don't, unless there's some glaring issue, I would love not to reopen anything that's not.
I think what we're talking
modification.
about is just function. You know, the flow is gonna work through here. I think we're just being a little critical of it, because it doesn't. You've got 2 entrances, 3 ways to get to 2 entrances. And then once I drop somebody off, if I drop somebody off in the front, you know, I guess I gotta come out and then go into the parking lot, but I gotta wait to get my key card so I could open up the gate. You know, it's like that kind of stuff. So we're just wondering how close it's gonna work. And if it's like this, then we have like, I don't know, 50 people checking in and they all go to the front door, we're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think with all due respect, this is not the first hotel project that my client's done.
Yeah. I know.
So, you know, it's the first that has, you know, with a historic building, but, you know, logistics and hotel is something that he knows. So we definitely take any advice that you guys see as glaring errors, but I think the logistics of how the gate's gonna open is something that if it's not he's gonna get bad reviews if people are annoyed by how to park and things. So that's gonna sort itself out by user, you know, technology and how to make it a pleasurable user experience for him. So I would love to not really discuss those items unless the board really wants to focus on this.
Well, I think one of the changes that came in today was what was the former gym. And the redesign of that former gym and lopping that off.
Yes.
And that's the part that doesn't have any windows. So is that an error in what you've submitted to us, or is that intentional? You have no way of knowing that.
Yeah, I believe unless he like.
I got that information on my phone.
Okay. I believe it's probably a architectural, a problem with that architectural plan right there, because I don't think there was any interior, changes that we didn't change the function of those rooms. It's not a laundry room.
Right.
So,
So there should be windows.
I believe you're right.
So you could provide updated floor plans.
You're basically right.
on the west facade.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a component, and we should get the revised information, and, yeah, I mean. I don't.
You know, respectfully to you and to VJ too, I mean, I think somebody asked the question and we just wanted to know how it was gonna work.
No, I'm not saying we can't talk about it, I just don't want to, really talk about things that aren't modifications, just because it's not getting us to the finish line, is all I'm requesting, not.
So I take on your comment as a constructive way to move forward. Our goal to get to our lawn approved with all the few things that we have left to do. And right now we have the opportunity of window to potentially to get our finance done. But going back to this window issue, Kate, you will get back to them with the specific.
Yeah, I believe that's just gonna be an error in the architectural elevation plan. So I can.
Also, you probably want to revise the drawing here where it says future gate location, which on the drawing is still by that little entrance thing.
The comparison drawing with different footprints.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
And then the island in front on Bridge Street doesn't agree with the landscape plan.
Okay.
The shape is different.
Well, one has a walkway
Yeah.
or something going right through the middle and the other doesn't show it.
I believe the walkway was strictly, so what do you,
Which one?
So,
Page
that one
seven.
there. Go back.
Go back one.
Yeah. Yeah, there.
So that's a grading plan and those are contours.
So,
I think you're talking about, let me get my cursor right, here. Those are proposed contours.
because you're creating two low-lying gardens.
Low spots in the front lawn, with water.
Oh,
There was a walkway there at one time.
yeah,
From like the front door all the way up the street.
yeah,
We got rid of the walkway.
you
In
did.
the center. So now there's a sidewalk that circles the drive. So.
Oh, okay.
Sidewalk right here on the edge of the driveway.
So do you think it might not be a good idea to leave the sidewalk going to that front door? From Bridge Street?
We don't want to invite the people from the street to just to walking in. So our guests who going to live, like we have the sidewalk going other way to going to the downtown Great Barrington. And we wanted to have that all the green area lawn, so we eliminated on the coming to the all the way to the Bridge Street.
So there is no proposed sidewalk across this
I see.
island area. I'll call
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the 10 parking spaces that were added? Do you really feel like you need those parking spaces for your program? And I ask it only because that, if that were a lawn space, it would make like a great event lawn space. We could put a tent up for an event or something as opposed to parking right in the front. I mean, the parking we've got on the west side of the building is there currently, so we're used to seeing it there. You know, generally, we're not super excited about parking in front, and I recognize the front of this building is a little bit mixed up, but is that a lost opportunity to like have a space where you could have an additional amenity as opposed to that parking? And that's a business decision for you, BJ. I don't know what your employee count is.
When we used your hotel for a little business meeting, we went outside in that nice space, we put up a tent, it was really nice.
And we want you to go there for the same use.
But next time we want to be in town, so we can walk to downtown.
Going back to Brandy, your question, if I'm not misspoken, our previous approval, we did have the 101 parking spot or so. So we are at 100, and I think that we wanted to maintain that extra parking in some circumstances that the guest may have extra car or somebody mistakenly park the car there instead of towing, then we have some space, so it's necessary.
You can always tent that parking lot for an event as well, and you have a nice level ground.
There you go.
On the
You can
parking
spill
space.
right there.
Infiltrate into the stormwater management system.
But I appreciate the chair making this space.
All right, board, any other questions or comments?
Yeah,
I have a very short list of things we're looking for.
I had a question about.
Yeah. that'd be fine.
Did you consider? Like, right now, there's a pole light that is right in front of the front door.
On the Bridge Street side,
Yeah,
okay. I'll take your word for it.
well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's,
No, I think existing you're talking about.
No, he's looking at the photometric.
Oh, I thought you meant the existing, like. stuff.
no, I'm looking at the photometric plan.
Here we go. Right here.
Yeah. And so, did you consider doing maybe bollards along there or something? That doesn't detract from the building, the way those will?
I have to defer to the electrical engineer, but who's not with us tonight, so. I don't want to make any assumptions for them. I don't want to say it's not an option. This was the suggested lighting plan.
It does make the building more important.
Yeah, you might want to consider not having a big hole right in the front door.
I think that's a good suggestion. I think you could, for that turnaround, you could do a shorter light even if you wanted to do a pull mounted, like 25 footer. I understand what you're getting at as far as in the parking area, because it allows you to have fewer light poles to illuminate the space, but in your turnaround, you probably could go with something more at scale with the building, and so that light isn't potentially illuminating your first floor windows, which is what it's going to do.
I think Jonathan, that's good input and can you make a note?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting my notes in right now.
Okay, let the record show, Kim.
So, just so that we can be comprehensive, so we'll talk through the 10.5 items and see if there's anything else, that we would need any additional information for. So under 10.5 for site plan review, minimize the volume of cut and fill, the number of removed trees, 6-inch caliber or larger, the length of stone walls, wetland vegetation displays, the extent of the water flow increase from the site, soil erosion and threat and air and water pollution. So the landscape plan does show a number of larger trees being removed, but I think that's just those spruce trees that are in pretty bad shape.
There's some along Bridge Street.
Yeah.
That are, boy, they look like they're seeing a lot better days.
Ye-
They're not healthy at all, that's correct.
And we had previously identified
Oh,
the
the big-
red
the
oak,
big
but that one
spruce?
is being preserved,
Yeah.
There was one,
the one on the corner of
Yeah.
the bridge.
that's already been fenced off.
Yeah,
In like a little landscape.
Yeah.
It's-
Better around
thank
it.
you for working with the Railroad Street Youth on
Yeah.
that. I think they helped with that little.
But there are 2 or 3 big spruces right in front that are
That are
dying.
hard,
they're-
yeah.
They're not pretty at all.
They're
Yeah.
not, they're
Yeah.
not.
They're also showing 4 trees taken out on the School Street side.
I gotta get my bearing,
On the,
so.
By the
Yeah.
parking lot, yeah.
I don't
At the corner
remember,
of the building, or is that what I'm
I
looking?
don't know what they are. I don't remember them at all, actually.
I don't remember the specific species. Well, based on their location.
Guess I can.
Are those existing trees that were removed? I felt like that might go.
There is not much in the backside with our property and the Jane Island.
we can take another peek, but I'm guessing they're kind of weedy.
And I almost feel like Jane might have asked us to remove those when we did our original. I'm,
Because there is no tree now.
there's no tree now, okay.
There are several on Jane Iredale property.
Yeah.
Along the property line.
Right, that was
Those
part of the
are there, those
landscape
stay
plan,
there.
though, those are
Yes.
staying, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, this isn't changing your cut fill
From
significantly.
previous application,
Yeah.
it's very similar.
Well, you dropped the parking lot, so there's a lot.
That's always been.
No, the
Yeah.
parking lot was always dropped.
It was always dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's changed there.
Okay,
Okay, next item was maximize accessibility and pedestrian and vehicular safety, both on site and accessing and exiting the site. It's not really any change from the last site plan.
No.
Number 3 is minimize the obstruction of scenic views from publicly accessible locations. I don't think there's any appreciable change there. Number 4, minimize visual intrusion by controlling visibility of parking, storage, or other outdoor service areas as viewed from public ways or premises residentially used or zoned. I don't think there was any change there either. Dumpster still in its same place, and there's landscape screening, and there's all the landscaping next to the Riverwalk.
But you did hear a comment about landscaping on the top of that wall.
Landscaping on the
Yeah.
top of the wall and whatever railing detail is.
Yeah, so greenery, not your greenery is what you meant. Along the wall.
Yes.
Landscaping, yeah,
I think the plan shows
Showed
if
that,
I
yeah,
need
yeah.
something or other. I think previously it was like a climbing hydrangea or something that was being proposed.
You're talking I'm talking landscaping that's level with the sidewalk of School Street.
At the top of the wall,
Top of the
the
wall.
top of the wall,
Yeah.
okay.
perfect.
So are you, Chris, are we asking them to provide some landscaping there?
That was a comment earlier, that there would not be large trees, but possibly smaller vegetation.
I mean, you could
My
use
brain
it,
only held on to the railing discussion,
but you
so.
can use it as a rail. There's provision in the building code somewhere, I can't remember exactly what it is, where you can use something like that, an obstruction, instead of putting railing in.
Okay,
That would go also to Jackie's comment about the visual of the parking lot from the public sidewalk on School Street.
so we need to update the landscaping to show that vegetation. Is what I'm hearing.
On the School Street
Right.
side. Okay. Minimize visual intrusion by controlling the visibility of parking storage. Oh, I'm sorry, I already read that one. Number 5, minimize glare from headlights, minimize light glare into the night sky, minimize overspill into adjacent properties. So you're gonna get us the updated photometrics that confirms the mounting heights of the proposed fixtures and confirms the fixtures. 3,000 Kelvin, please. 3,000
Yes.
Kelvin. I know that'll change your photometrics just a little bit, and then see if you can find a more pedestrian scale light for the walkways, anything that's not in the parking area.
The board is typically asked for large commercial developments to look at 20-foot poles. Not 25. Don't know how much that will change your photometrics, but that's what you looked at for Powerhouse Square and.
Thank you for
43
remembering that. I couldn't remember. Okay.
I was just to say that the nursing home conversions require 14-footers. But that would, I think that would imply them having to put in more poles, right?
Quite a few more poles, yeah.
And those, the nursing home bylaws respective to residential zones.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, then number 6 is minimize unreasonable departure from character materials, scaled buildings in the vicinity as used in public ways and places. If you want to capture in that item, the question about blank facades and just give us updated facades, that'd be great. Number 7, minimize contamination of groundwater from on-site wastewater disposal systems or operations on premises involving the use, storage, handling, or containment of hazardous substances. I don't think that one applies here. And ensure compliance with provisions of the zoning bylaw, including parking and landscaping. So did that get everything that was on my list? Yeah, that was everything I had written down. Anything else on your end, Chris?
I think they've addressed my technical comments.
That you had also?
Could someone tell me where there's a vine? Trumpet honeysuckle?
Old or existing?
It's in your list of,
It's just,
Plants.
Oh.
Base of retaining wall.
oh, on that, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So on the screen up on the
okay.
TV, I think is what you're.
Yeah, that's what I was pointing at,
Okay.
that leader that you've got that points to the
Yeah.
retaining wall.
I was looking for the LS and I didn't see it.
I love whoever wrote the script there. It just kind of looks like a comic book.
yeah.
That's
Is that
that's a
really?
type that you get.
Oh,
to
that's
choose.
cheating. That's
That's right.
cheating.
Because all of us
But I
have
like
terrible
it.
handwriting.
Um,
Do you have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Is there any way that we can get, this list is a very small list and it's a very easy list to put together.
I'll make a motion.
Um,
Make a motion to approve site plan contingent on updates to landscaping, lighting, and facade.
I would appreciate that.
Do we have a
Is
second?
that it? I'll second.
Okay, so we have
I'll
a
second
motion and a
it.
second. Do we have any further discussion? Jonathan?
Well, I'm not clear what that means. You know, what
It means-
exactly?
It's a
Well, we
condition
requested-
approval. So,
Condition approval based on updates for the landscaping along School Street.
Yeah.
Lighting that we just discussed.
Yeah.
And accurate facade elevations.
Yeah, so it's gonna have to come back.
So does
No,
that give you what you
Approval
need?
Contingent upon the receipt of those
those things,
in the town planner's office.
Yeah, for us to move forward, we need approval because these plans have to, keep progressing to get to 100% so that we can get it to the lender and we can keep moving. We're in a tough position because you don't have another meeting this month, and then I also heard you had a very busy first meeting of the next.
we didn't want you to join it.
So, and even pushing it to that January is gonna cause us an extreme delay with where we're at in the process, and so that's why I'm asking, like, our goal is to really build this project, so we're just asking, these are pretty small, hurdles, but yes, they need to be clarified and documented, and, we can get them to you very quickly, so that then we have the approval and we can move forward.
I'm fine with that.
You want to have another meeting?
And so when is
Yeah.
the approval final?
And they submit the documents to the town planner's office.
And he gets to approve.
Yeah, I'm not, it's, you're either approving it now,
But we're approving conditions on. the
You were
submission of
receiving
these
the
items.
documentation that we requested.
so your documentation, the what you've requested, you feel is specific enough. The direction to the applicant is specific enough so that the plans that come in, you are sure will meet everything you've discussed tonight. You don't want to review those plans again.
I think, should we review those plans?
If that's the case, then we have to schedule a special meeting.
Let's
I
have a
mean,
half-hour meeting.
you can say that the comments you've given, that's what you want to see and that's what you're approving. And I can make sure that, but I just want to be clear, is that what you're saying?
And I know it's a big
Is
ask,
what-
but
But is what we're asking really worth causing more delay? Unless you want to have a meeting next week to review.
Well, the corrections on the drawings are not, landscaping.
So,
Can we
okay,
be
so
specific on the landscaping and lighting?
we can, yeah,
You said 3,000 K lighting. you said
3,000 K
Look
lighting,
at 20-foot poles. There's not a,
There's
didn't
no
set a
requirement,
condition
yeah.
here.
we can say
That's a
20-foot
suggestion,
poles,
really.
we could say
Yeah.
12-foot or 14-foot
Look at-
poles.
You
And
know, it might throw off the photometrics to the point where you don't like the photometric.
Yeah.
So there are variables that you
Yeah.
might want to see.
And look at bollards.
Unless you just want to say, this is what we want and forget everything else, but. You can do whichever you want.
I
long as you're
think what
clear.
you're seeing partially, Chris, is a reluctance to drag this out too much longer. Just
I
given
know
that
what I'm
it's-
saying. I'm just suggesting you be clear on this.
Yeah, no,
Be clear about it.
Is it unheard of to have a quick meeting or we do it on Zoom? We all get.
we could do it.
Week is not harsh strike. No, I mean, I think we could have a special meeting. But I think the debate right now is, do we need to have a special meeting?
Well.
I'm not sure that, you know,
And we're discussing it. That's
we
part
need
of
to
the
vote
process.
At some point.
Well, we're still discussing it. We'll vote on it in a few minutes. I don't have a strong sense if your motion is gonna pass or fail.
So if it fails, it goes.
There's only 4 of us.
what are, I mean, lighting and landscaping are the two things.
Right.
Lighting, okay, what do we require? 20-foot instead of 24-foot? Is that what, do we require that?
It's not clear. The bylaw in some places says 25-foot max. The
Okay.
practice recently has been 20-foot, 3,000 K,
So if the bylaw says 20,
5 max.
25 max,
Specifically to hotels.
and what the comments we've made here are suggestions.
And we can agree on the 24 and the 3,000, whatever. Yeah.
And the
We remove
bollards?
the front, pole
Yeah,
and
and
then put on the front, side of what they call.
Bollards.
Bollards, yeah. And then we agree on that one and we give you the landscape thing on the, school street, whatever things and,
And then regarding the landscape, the above the retaining wall, I think our goal is not to have anything with a deep root system that's gonna affect the wall. So we'll just ask the, whoever in your office prepare that to. I don't wanna tell you what we're gonna plant there because it would be wrong. But the goal is to do some shrub-like feature there.
Could be grasses.
Grass is something that will soften that fence and will give it a visual feel right there. So if there's no, if somebody wants to suggest what the perfect item is from the board, we would agree to it, but I think whatever they suggest is probably gonna be fine, as long as you're okay with something with
Okay.
along those lines.
so Pedro, what about revising the motion to have specific conditions about the lighting and the landscaping? Approval with the conditions that they have 20-foot poles, 3,000 K, and consider, and I don't know if this is something we insist on, but consider that front pole and replacing it with bollards. And then on the landscaping side, that that a condition is that they plant something by that wall.
Provide shrubs or perennial plantings
Yeah.
along the top of the wall,
Yeah.
But they've got
Um,
vines growing on the face of the wall.
which is
Yeah.
fine.
That'll.
So
Someone's gonna
planting,
maintain it at that point.
as long as they plant something to soften that wall, that's what our objective is. So that would be the conditions.
Now, this planting though, my understanding was we were more concerned with planting at the top.
Right.
On School Street. No,
Top of the wall on
Not on
School
the
Street.
wall, so it's not about
No, but
softening.
they've
the
got
wall.
vines growing on the wall.
I understand, so it's not about softening the wall, it's about providing buffer from School
From the
Street down
School
into
Street
the.
sidewalk. To the railing that will be at the top of that wall.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll withdraw my previous motion. I'll make a new motion. I'll make a
And
motion to.
I'll withdraw, I'll agree with that withdrawal because I seconded the motion. So.
Thank you. I will make a motion to approve site plan review contingent on an updated landscape plan. That shows planting on the top of the wall along School Street. An updated lighting plan that considers 20-foot poles and lights
That provides,
that provides 20-foot poles. In the parking area at 3,000 Kelvin temperature. A consideration of the removal of the pole in the front of the building along Bridge Street. And consideration to install something along the lines of bollards. Perfect. To the front to provide lighting along the front there.
Can
And
I s-
finally, the updated elevations showing that there is habitable space beyond those walls.
Okay, the way that's phrased is then the approval would be on their delivering those
Yes, contingent on this delivery of these,
plans to Chris.
contingent on delivery of these documents to town plan's office.
All right,
Right.
I'll second that.
okay, so we have a very complicated motion, I hope I can follow that. Yes. And the second, do we have further discussion on this? All right, hearing none, we'll vote, Malcolm,
Aye.
Jonathan,
How about I?
Pedro,
Aye.
Brandy, aye. All right,
Thank you very much. It was greatly appreciated.
sure, good luck. Make us proud,
We really want to see you do this.
we really do.
And I wanted to do this one too, and I never do another project without meeting, but whatever I have.
I don't want to hear
I
that.
can get the plan, get the plan, build the.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Good night.
All right. Okay,
Thank you.
next, thank you. Have a good evening.
luck.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Jeremy.
Jeremy's back. And better than ever.
Well, I don't know about that.
No,
Do we have another item on the
He
agenda?
looks perky.
Yes,
We
I
do. We have 4 more items.
4 more?
Yeah, they're mostly housekeeping.
Oh, good.
Good.
Great.
Yeah, no. We're doing good tonight. Board and subcommittee updates, issues and concerns. We'll start in the room. Malcolm?
no,
No? Okay. Jonathan?
Not that I can remember.
Okay, good.
Nothing.
Jeremy?
So CPC is meeting for starting to review step 2 applications this coming Monday and Tuesday at 5 o'clock, both starting at 5 o'clock both times. Town Hall.
Great.
I believe it's Town Hall both times, right, Chris?
How many
Town Hall,
applications
Town
are
Hall,
there?
yes. There are, so let's see, here are the agendas. So on Monday, we're going to be reviewing the open space and recreation ones, which there's 2 of, and 3 of the historic preservation, so 5 that day. And then on Tuesday, it's mostly housing, but the first housing item is a housing and historic application, and then followed by 3 other housing. So altogether, you have 9,
Okay, great.
and they want a lot of money,
Everybody does.
more than we
Right.
have.
Thank you. I don't have any board subcommittee updates, issues or concerns, but, and Chris, you may have had this in your planners report, but it is time for us to, review and certify to our open meeting law, refreshers. Chris gave us all hard copies, so
Jackie's done it.
I did it in past and
congratulations.
I'm legit.
Excellent, excellent.
So
I
if
passed
you have
after
any open meeting
16,
law questions, Jack's got all you.
Yeah, but I'm really good in fair housing now. With me.
Excellent. So, town planners report,
No, nothing tonight.
nothing tonight. Citizen speak? Anybody online for citizen speak? Raise your hand. Eileen's cats have been quiet. Okay.
It's nice to see
I
you
know.
in person.
You're usually 84 North End Road, right? Okay, now we've got a name. Okay, so if that's it, we'll adjourn without objection at 8:26. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.